Last year, Apple revolutionized the laptop and chipset industry with the M1 MacBook Air, an extremely thin notebook which did not disappoint even the professionals, and made Intel and AMD feel completely dangerous and apply big changes to their CPUs. But can M2 MacBook Air be Apple's laptop of the year like previous generation? Let's do it. In terms of design, the weight of this laptop is only 1.24 kilograms and its thickness is only 1.1 centimeter, which makes it an extremely portable laptop. Its thickness may be only a few millimeters different from the thickness of your phone. The material of the laptop body is entirely made of recycled and matte aluminum, which like other Apple products gives a premium feeling. But like the previous generations, they get scratched very quickly, so you have to be careful. The exterior design has not changed much and it is the same minimal and attractive Apple design. Only the laptop has a flatter design and has become a real fingerprint magnet. And it is extremely annoying, and if you care about this issue like me, you should always have a cloth. A receipt is placed to open the laptop more easily and the hinges are of high quality as before. And the laptop can be opened easily even with one hand and the screen does not move easily. The edge of the screen has been narrowed by about 0.3 inches so that the webcam is placed in the notch, like the M1 Pro and M1 Max models. And with the same size as last year, you have a 13.6 inch screen instead of 13.3. In general, Apple has finally abandoned the old design and you get a better feeling of looking at the screen. Also, you never forgot the notch and it always attracts your attention. About the M2 MacBook Air keyboard, I can also say that they have a very good depth and sound like the few generations ago, and you will have a good feeling working with them, especially for typing. The touchpad is also large and fingers can easily move on it, and it is sensitive. It recognizes motion gestures quite correctly as expected from Apple. In general, Apple focuses more on user experiences more than additional features. The ports of this device are definitely not complete, and if you're a professional user, you will probably face problems. This laptop has a MagSafe port for charging, which in addition to a safer and more seamless connection, the main ports are not unusable when charging. Two Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 ports with a speed of 40 GB per second are also included on the MacBook Air 2022. You can connect a Pro Display XDR monitor or two 4K 60Hz monitors to the laptop using these ports. These ports also have the ability to connect an external GPU. The last port you get in this device is the 3.5mm audio jack that supports high quality microphones and headphones. The M2 MacBook Air display is IPS LCD with 2K resolution and 224 ppi pixel density, which supports 1 billion colors and DCI-P3 color space. Colors are very accurate on this display, which is great for editors and designers. The contrast is also quite satisfactory and the display has a wide viewing angle. Pixels are not visible and the content is quite sharp. It also supports True Tone that your eyes don't get tired in different light conditions. The brightness of this screen reaches up to 500 nits, which is acceptable for a laptop, and you have no problem viewing content in semi-open spaces such as cafes or libraries. But the refresh rate is a standard 60Hz, which is not really smooth for 2022. MacBook Air 2022 is equipped with Touch ID and has a completely acceptable speed and reliable security. The MacBook Air webcam has improved this year compared to the previous generation and can now record 1080p video, but it is still not of good quality and is only used for video calls and video conferences. MacBook Air 2022 is powered by the second generation of Apple computer processor M2 and has 8, 16 or 24 GB of LPDDR5 RAM with a speed of 100 GB per second. The architecture of this processor is not much different from the previous generation. It uses the new generation of 5nm TSMC technology and has 8 or 10 GPU cores, 8 CPU cores and 16 neural engine cores. 4 CPU cores are low consumption and 4 cores are powerful. The maximum frequency of the cores has also increased from 3.2 to 3.5 GHz. So far we almost know its specifications. Let's take a look at the numbers to make its performance more clear for us. Of course, not Apple's advertising numbers. In Geekbench 5 and single core performance, M2 has improved by 11.5% compared to the M1 and is 10% better than Intel processor. But in multi-core performance, the difference with the previous generation reached 20%, but Intel is winner with 10% better. In the R23 benchmark, as you can see, the difference are almost the same. In the same Geekbench 5, the score of M2 GPU with 8 cores is 25% better than the previous generation. In terms of power efficiency, the M2 is really weaker than the M1, so that in the R23 benchmark, the M1 performs 37% better per watt, which means it gets hotter. Another problem is that the base model has 256 GB of memory with half the reading and writing speed of the previous generation, which is completely felt in opening apps and the overall speed of the device. Since it is not easy to upgrade Macs, it is better to think more about the 512 GB version. But these are just numbers to better understand the performance. What about the real life? In the real world, due to the compatibility of hardware and software, which I will explain in more in the software section, the performance you feel may be faster and smoother than even laptops with a stronger hardware. With M2 MacBook Air, you can easily perform semi-heavy edits. Also, Apple did not make it for professionals. As you know, the Air series is fanless and completely silent. But this silence, better performance, and reduced efficiency make you feel heat during heavy use. MacBook Air M2 comes with macOS Ventura and receive updates for up to 5 years, and even more. macOS has a smooth and very functional user interface, most of the apps you need are pre-installed, and offers an attractive ecosystem with other Apple devices. For example, you have a function called Desk View, which you can connect your iPhone to your Mac using a device, and macOS itself shows a view of your desk with software algorithms and using an ultra-wide camera. But macOS is a closed operating system like a house without windows, where a thief can't enter. Also, Windows has its charms, and even if you're a Windows user, you may not be able to communicate with Mac. I have to add one more thing. At the beginning, the softwares were not compatible with the Apple chip because of the new architecture. But today, the softwares, especially the professional softwares, has found a very good compatibility with the Apple chip, and especially optimized for these chips. Even in the softwares, they provide better performance than other processor. In general, if you're not a gamer and the limitation don't bother you too much and you can communicate with macOS, the MacBooks of these two generations can be very good choices. The M2 MacBook Air battery is 52.6 watt-hours, which is not much at first glance. But thanks to the ultra-low consumption processor and optimized software, it offers up to 18 hours of continuous video playback. Of course, it is what Apple says, but other tests show almost the same number. In general, this notebook can charge up to 1 full day in semi-heavy use, which is unrivaled for a device with this capability, thinness, and portability. Its adapter is 33 watts, which fortunately comes with the box, and its full charge takes about 2.5 hours. You also can get 67 watt charger version, which is more expensive. The M2 MacBook Air speakers are placed on the keyboard. They have reasonable projection and volume, and do not produce a very loud sound because of the physics, but they have very good quality, bass, and clarity. If I want to conclude, if you want a thin and light laptop that won't let you down to do anything, the 512GB M2 MacBook Air is worth buying. But if you want to do heavy editing or professional work, it's true that it can do it. But this laptop is not made for it, and it is suggested to buy the M1 Pro version at a higher cost. Even if you have an M1 MacBook Air, it does not make sense to upgrade to this laptop. Also, if you have a small budget, the M1 is still a great chipset and it is still worth buying. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it, and if you like my content, subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in next video.